Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm one of the co-founders of Meatwise, and with me here today is Steven. Right, Steven is my co-founder, and I'm gonna spend the next couple of minutes just sharing with you more about Meatwise, and thank you for giving us this opportunity. I think Steven and I started Meatwise about 6 months ago. We spent really the last good 6 months building the platform and building the technology behind Meatwise. But before sharing more on that, let me just share with you a little bit of background of where we come from. Right, Stephen and I actually go way back about 14, 15 years ago when Stephen worked with me on my first startup 14 years ago in Singapore, where I founded and built a event planning company. That's about 14 years ago, and Stephen was my first colleague, actually, my first colleague that joined me. And we've worked together in this industry for the last 15, 16 years. Many times in events. We've worked in companies like MCI Group, and then we've also worked together in most recently, before we founded Meatwise, in Carlson Wagonly Travel on the meetings and events part. In our many years working in the industry, we realized there's actually no digitization or automation of in the meetings and events industry, right? And the biggest pain point in the industry really is venue finding, is really in the process of planning, right? So we spent the last 1 year before we started Meatwise talking to the stakeholders in the industry, venues, clients, right? And before we decided on what to do. So today, Meatwise, we are at the verge of being able to launch it publicly. We target a date of 1st March to launch it. Really 1st March, why 1st March is because in February there is a big holiday for Asia. It's the Chinese New Year, right? So we wanted to launch it after the big holiday so that we get more momentum from there. Really are ready to launch today. The platform is built on a very easy to use venue sourcing technology, so it's live, it is instant, right? But what really we feel is our advantage is that the last 6 months we spent a lot of effort building the engine that powers the inventory management and the pricing strategy for the venues, right? So that's one of our most proud things we do. And the other thing that we feel we have a advantage over some of the competition in Asia is that from day one we built content in major Asia Pacific cities. So today at launch in 1st March, we would have content in about 8 to 10 major meeting cities in Asia Pacific, whereas the competition would mainly be one country specific. They're domestic in their own countries, right? And I think the reason why we're able to do this really is because of our knowledge base and our networks in Asia Pacific. Stephen and I has really worked in this industry for the last 15, 16 years. We've worked in cities like China, Shanghai. We've lived in Hong Kong. So we've got without enough context, and that helped us in building up our networks and our content and really understanding what would work for this industry. I think with it coming to us, I think it's very interesting because when it shared with us what Gaest is doing, there's some similarities in where we see the vision of where this will lead us, right? In terms of our clients are asking us as well that we go to a client and say that, okay, I need to source venues not just in Singapore, I need to source in China, I need to source in Europe, I need to source everywhere, because as procurement, we procure agreements on a global basis, right? So they're asking us that. So we knew from day one that let's build a pan-Asian platform and then find a possible partner in the future for Europe and America. So I think we see eye to eye on that, and how and it's an opportunity because the competition today are all single city and very restricted offer. So I think we're really interested in finding out how we could accelerate our growth both ways. And Europe is really interesting. Asia is complex and very fragmented today. I think we are very, very excited, to be sharing or to discuss further on what Eva just told us in terms of different possibilities of working together. we are startups that I think one of the things that we love about ourselves after working in multinational corporations for the last 15, 16 years is that we're back to being able to make decisions really fast, and that's something that we're excited about in the startup world. So very excited to chat more on this in the next opportunity.
I think maybe if you would share also a little bit about your strategy, about how you go to get the inventory, these different ways that you will do the inventory.
Yeah, so in Asia it's very fragmented in a sense. So we've got slightly different strategies for different markets, right? So in China, we today have a small team in China because China is, Asia's, if our industry is very relational, right? China is really, really very relational. So in China, we would have our teams going out to hotels, really hitting the hotels, almost one-on-one on contracts. But at the same time, we're also looking for partners in the markets. So for example, we've been successful in Indonesia and Thailand. We look for partners in the related industries like property management systems, right? Where they already have thousands of hotels using their systems, and we will have a partnership with them where we license them, right, to approach the hotels, right? So at one instance, we would have, let's say, a couple of thousand hotels in Indonesia which are already clients of this partner, and they will open us up to a couple of thousand hotels where we would do a blanket marketing to them. It's much faster. So that's one way that we accelerate our growth of inventory management. In China, it is relatively cheap in terms of labor, right? So in China, we could still afford today to hit hotel by hotel, and we also hit chains today. So, for example, like Wyndham, for example, we would go to Wyndham, and because China is so big today, most of the regional office in China will be standalone, right? So the Asia Pacific hotel regional chain will exclude China because China will have their own standalone regional office just in China. So we will go to China's regional office and we'll hit them in one go, right? So that do save us a little bit of time. So once we market to hundreds of hotels under Wyndham, under ISG, or under the venue chains, right? But the individual smaller venues is still door to door. Right? For the smaller special venues, it's still door to door.
I was also thinking about, you told me that some of the hotels have asked if they could use your...
Yes, that's right. Yeah, thank you for reminding on that. That's a really important strategy for us. In talking to the hotels, most hotels are actually like the concept of being able to market this, especially the distressed inventory in a platform like this. And at the same time, a lot of hotels and a lot of venue owners, larger venue owners, come to us and ask us whether they are able to use our software, our technology for their own direct booking meetings website, right? So that opens up opportunity in terms of additional revenue. We sell the system. We call it Direct Wise. Okay, so meet Wise and call it Direct Wise for direct booking engine. So they pay us a subscription fee for every hotel that's listed on the system, for their own direct booking website. And at the same time, so we put a caveat there where we would require them to also list their property on the platform for public. So at the same time, we earn extra income and we have instant inventory on our platform at the same time. So that's also helping us to accelerate our growth of inventory into the platform. So it actually works both ways for us: additional revenue and additional platform inventory.
I was also, one thing you told me I think was interesting, that was these people, when there's a smaller, maybe a meeting on 24 or something, that you also have, that you take a cut of that and marketing these people also. How?
Yeah, so we are actually building an ecosystem of people who serve the meetings industry, right? So especially the smaller meetings industry, right? So people like when you do a 24, 25 people meeting, you probably will not afford an agency to help you plan. You will probably need one freelancer or one freelance planner, which is a lot in the industry today. So in Asia and also in Europe, right, freelance event planners are all around. We match these freelance event planners to our service. So the moment that the client buys a venue, we will upsell them. Do you need freelance planning? If they think yes, then a whole list of freelancers will pop out They can buy their services. We take a 25% cut from there. And similarly, there are people like draftsmen who help them draw floor plans. There are people like drivers who drive, who have 2 to 3 vehicles with them, and they would do airport transfers for smaller groups. So these are the additional services which we will plant into besides venue, we upsell them after starting by you.
Then I saw on your, we did not talk about it, but I saw that you would have instant booking.
Yes.
And how do you think that would work? Do you think that that all hotel really would yeah, I think there are some obstacles.
There is actually. So I think for us, we still pride ourselves in having an instant inventory list, right? So the main gist of the property, most properties that are with us in the first launch in 1st March will be instant in a sense, right? So how we do that is via our very strong inventory management backend, right? That can be an extranet, or we would build APIs into their backend. Like that's expensive, right?
Yeah. And there's so many different.
There's so many different in that phase. So we would ask them to use our extranet to do it, right? If we start producing for them, then it makes sense to start building APIs, but not instantly.
No.
But the extranet itself is already very powerful in terms of managing inventory and pricing. When we have a chance, I would really love to share with you.
Thank you.
But as we grow the inventory list, I do not believe that every property or every will be instant.
So you will write on each venue if it is instant or not.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah, we'll write if it's instant or not.
Yeah.
So we will have a combination of instant and non-instant,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because I don't imagine if you grow to a stage where we have 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 properties, all will be instant, right? So I don't think it will happen that day, right? But having an instant capability from the start is good because I feel as we move this business or this project in the next 3 to 5 years, it will be more and more. There'll be more and more capability to actually connect to APIs, and just today the biggest problem is that the property management systems for sleeping rooms and meeting rooms do not talk. They do not talk today, right? But there will come a day when things start to merge, and and the hotel industry improves in terms of connectivity, right? So we're waiting for that day to come. But we're offering the extranet way of doing instant for hotels who will put the effort in. There's actually quite a bit of hotels who are warming up to it and say that, yeah, I can use the extranet to manage inventory. Yeah.
So maybe you would tell a little bit. You own half of it, 2 of you, the company, and maybe you tell a little bit of the partner you have.
Yeah, the structure. So very interesting because when we started this, we were very fortunate to be able to find the current the angel investor, right? So his name is Yu Kun, right? He's Singaporean. He owns a family business that's in travel, but he's also a very active private investor in.
And what is the major company he owns? What is that?
The main company? The company he owns is actually a company called Sands Tours, SAN. Approximately Sands Tours. That's the family business. But from there, he does a lot of business. The traditional business is in fleet management for buses, tour buses, cars, system for wholesaling attraction tickets all over Asia. That's the traditional business. But on the sidelines, he himself is an active investor in AI, artificial intelligence, digital systems,
and he is
travel.
Also investor in the company in Jakarta.
They introduced us, yeah. So he also that's how we got to know each other. So he also investor in the company called Opsigo in Jakarta. It's actually a corporate travel.
A bit like Amadeus.
Absolutely, a bit like Amadeus, a bit like Concur, SAP Concur, but much more powerful. So I've used their system. It's really much more powerful than Concur. Much more localized for Indonesia, right, and Asian. But so Yukun, he owns 50% of the business. Stephen and myself own 50% of the business, and we have the opportunity to earn back sweat equity more from that because we're bootstrapping, right, from the start. And Yukun himself also has a team, a technical team that sits in China, and one team sits in Indonesia, where we use for our first year of development. Yeah, so he really had incubated us.
Are they also doing the front end?
They're doing the front end and the back end.
Okay.
Yeah. But today you